I'm very happy I got rid of that. You poor souls. I'm so sorry anybody that used this. Oh gosh, I remember this now, and I remember why I forgot all about this. Oh boy. There was some decisions made. Oh no. If you manually input these 6 fields, it'll output this ID code. Holy shit. No one's doing that. That's so dumb. So dumb. There's no organization whatsoever. You might as well just throw it all in the trash at this point. It's just like, it's absolute hot garbage. Hey guys, this is Micheal Pacitto, creator of the Snapshot Manager Pro, and I've been working on this tool for what feels like about 4 or 5 years now, and it's a really cool tool for documenting your snapshots, but it wasn't always as good as it is now. There was a first version, and it's been a couple years since I think I've even really looked at that first version. So what we're gonna be doing is just going back in time and just watching me react to my first version of the Snapshot Manager Pro, which wasn't even called that. It was called Product Asset Manager. Real sexy, I know. And I don't know if it's going to be good. I don't know if it's going to be bad. It probably will be bad, but I'm hoping there's going to be some really good nuggets and maybe some things to even learn about that I might have forgotten about. So if this is super cringe, I apologize. Unless that's what you're here for, then you're welcome. I didn't have a chance to do any retakes or editing, so the audio is a little bit bad, but I believe it was good enough there for you to kind of get all of the pain and angst and anguish that I suffered through. So let's hope you guys enjoy. Oh boy. So first off, we got this sexy yellow color going on. And the first thing that I'm noticing is right along the top that's really different is you got all of these tables, which a lot of tables is good, but they're not really organized in any kind of way. Like you just look at it and there's no separation. Like when you're visually looking across, everything is just blah altogether. What do they actually do? Like which ones are related to which? The other thing I'm noticing is that this first version, I had an extra table for managing agencies because I was a snapshot kind of builder. I was helping agencies manage their snapshots. Now, while that's pretty cool, but then it also means that there's all these user roles. Well, agency users versus my team's members. And then you have the actual users that are there. And so it starts to get a little bit overwhelming. Like most people don't actually use it. Like for me, it's much easier if I'm going to have multiple agencies, I'm going to have multiple Airtables, because if the agency wants that documentation, I want to be able to just hand it to them saying, here you go, here's your documentation. Having it all in one is a bad idea. So don't do that. Oh, that's right. It gets even crazier. So I was tracking with this tool, not just the agencies and all the different users, but their client sub-accounts and the users on those accounts, which that gets crazy. Like that's a really custom scenario. And it was crazy of me to think that I could build a tool that would cover most people's needs. Cool. So another thing, products. I don't know why I called it products, not snapshots, not sub-accounts. So products is weird because it's called a snapshot. Like, why are we using this different word? So there's some funny things there. And then we have product dev. What is this? So this is looking like, oh, this is the product development. So I had a whole table for managing the different steps of building a snapshot. And I thought it would be cool to try and get this Snapshot Asset Manager, which is already overwhelming and has too many things in it. I also thought, well, why don't we just tack in project management too? Let's actually have the whole development process in one little tiny app. If ClickUp is any semblance of a teacher in here, when you try and do everything, you tend to do everything a little badly. ClickUp, it's great. They also have like $100 million to spend, and I'm just a guy in Canada. But the problem is that, I mean, you see there's 21 steps here. That's a lot. to try and keep within one little tool. So I'm very happy I got rid of that. Product roadmap. So product roadmap, this is looking like this is looking kind of like a change log. Like, hey, what do we want to build? But what's dumb about this is, so wait, it's weird. So I have a product roadmap, but I also have tickets. No, that's tech team. Why is it called tech team? Okay, so I had a whole changelog system, which this is pretty similar to what I have in Snapshot Manager Pro. You need this, you need something like this. But then why do I then have a product roadmap separate from? So I think my mindset here was, hey, tech support should live in one spot, and then our product roadmap, and let's keep those two things separate, which is a thought. That's a way to do it, but it's a lot of extra tables. It's not necessary, because every table that you have is another process that you have to keep in your head of why does this exist, right? And then the fact that they're all linking together, like there's the sprint system, and what is a sprint? Dude, oh man, sprints. I mean, sprints are great if you know what agile development cycles are and, sprint planning. But the average agency owner, in my experience, doesn't know what a sprint is. And you probably don't know what a sprint is either. It's complicated. But yeah, so there's a lot going on here, and having multiple things, that's so dumb. So dumb. All right, modules. All right, here we go, modules. So modules is really important. This is something that I have in the Snapshot Manager Pro. It's a way of organizing your snapshot into smaller sections so they're manageable. The problem is that this module is kind of in the middle of nowhere. So one thing of UX design is you want to keep similar things together, right? But in this, a module should probably be closer to products. So it's like, hey, you got your products, your snapshots, and then you have your modules, and because they're directly related to your snapshots, right? So that's kind of funky that it's just kind of sitting out over here and there's no organization whatsoever. And again, acceptance criteria and key results and testing. And a lot of these things probably should be done, but are they going to be done? It's really cool to have all these fun features, but if no one uses it, it's just making it all sucky and dumb. So yeah, you always, no matter how cool the feature is that you want to include in your product, does it actually make the experience better? Does it help, or does it get in the way of results? And in this case, yeah, there's a lot going on. Testing. Now this is something this is something that should be in, but it's really doesn't need its own section. I don't know why I thought module testing needed its own table. Why don't you just have all the testing done with all of the other training and onboarding and just make it nice and clean? Hey, where do I go when I need to do any kind of QA, or I need to know how the snapshot works? Well, one tab, not four, not four. And then, oh boy, oh gosh, I remember this now, and I remember why I forgot all about this. So this is actually a holdup from because I was relatively new to Airtable when I built this. So this is actually a throwback to the original spreadsheet, because in a spreadsheet, I had like a separate table for all of my information about asset types. And because I had this whole coding structure because I was using a spreadsheet and not a dynamic database, which I should have been using, but I didn't. Well, if I want to know every single automation, and that's another thing, why did I call it automations when it's clearly workflows? It's called workflow, not an automation. I have no idea why I called it that, but here we are. So you have asset types, and then you have the actual assets, and oh my goodness, what the heck is this? Oh boy. There was some decisions made. Like, why is all of these things Froden taking up half the screen? I'm sure there was a good reason. Oh, I haven't even gone into all of the views, which if I'm looking at all these different views, that's, yep, no consistency. There's not similar views. Oh, just random grid view. How's the user supposed to know? Like, if a user is going to see no views here and no views here, how are they going to know that, hey, there's all kinds of other views in this one particular table if you happen to find out? And well, back then I was giving it away for free. There was no incentive for me to invest a whole bunch of time into training. It was more like, here you go, here's a cool tool, and best of luck, hope it works. Oh, I'm seeing some things I don't like. I don't like that. Oh no. Why did... You poor souls. I'm so sorry, anybody that used this. This is horrible. So what I got here is... So you have all the assets, which I'm going to go into in a bit on why this is all bad. First off, the reason this is so horrible, having all your assets, so my thinking, in my defense, the reason I put it in one table is that I said, hey, I don't want to overwhelm people with too many tables. Oops, too late. But that is a good thought, right? Yeah, I do want to limit it. But by limiting your assets to just one table, now you have to cram everything into one, and you lose the whole purpose of using Airtable. Airtable's a database. A database lets you link things, you know, like it lets you link your workflows to your tags, and from your tags to your custom fields, right? But if they're all in one table, you can't link them. But going back, there's so much wrong here. It's mind-blowing. So the other thing that's really bad here is that, so I had an ID system. You can see here on the left in like COUAO200. What does that mean? Now, I'm okay with big IDs, but here's the problem. To get that ID, one, you had to manually link your product. So the snapshot, you had to manually link your module. You know, at some, you know, okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to link the module for this asset. And then I'm gonna have to asset type. So yeah, the custom fields, fair enough. But now I'm gonna have to write an ID, a sub asset, whatever that is, and then version number. So version number you had to manually put, and it would combine all of those. And I'm assuming there's some hidden fields here. Yeah, there's 3 hidden fields. And if you manually input these 6 fields, it'll output this ID code. Holy shit. No one's doing that. Well, I mean, I did that. And I was pretty proud of myself. In fact, you know what? I'm going to be a little nice to myself here. This was horrible, but you know what was even more horrible? Not being able to do any documentation at all. If you didn't do this, you're even more screwed. Just compared to what's available now with the Snapshot Manager Pro. On sale now. Well, it's not on sale. It's full price, but buy it anyway. Settings details, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, these are stuff you need. Not updatable. Check mark. Really? Not an X? Not updatable? Should be an X, right? Yeah, X for not updatable. But if it is updatable, it should be check mark. Good job, Mike. So one thing I've learned a lot about over the years of seeing people use these tools and training people on it, you kind of want to make it so that everything that needs to be seen and worked on has to be done for it to work right. if you put things out of the way and they're kind of hidden away in a corner, or you have to like, okay, I'm going to do this field and this field, then I'm going to skip these 3 fields, and then I'm going to go and do this field and this field, skip. Building something like this is relatively easy, but building it in a way that makes the user go, oh yeah, I just do this and I know I'm done. I'm not having to jump around and think if I'm done or not, which eats up in all to your time. The biggest thing is if you've put 1,000 hours into something, or thousands of hours, little tiny things like moving a field from one spot to a couple inches over to the left, it's not a big move physically. But when you've done like 10,000 hours of something and you've done it 10,000 times, 10,000 times times the 1 second or 2 seconds it takes is, it's 20,000 seconds, right? But it's not just that, it's the flow, because maybe there's like 8 or 9 different things that all take an extra second to do. Instead of being able to do something in like, 10 seconds, it takes you like 1 or 2 minutes. You do that 100 times a day, and it's 100 minutes, right? That's a lot of extra things. Oh, we're almost through it. Integrations. Well, this one has default text, so I'm assuming I never finished it on this version. I guess there is another version that I'm going to quickly go through. We have clients. So yeah, again, clients, why is that over here? Shouldn't clients be like over by agencies? Sprints. Oh yeah, and then again, naming things is so important, because a good name is going to tell you not just what it is, but it's going to give you a sense of what it relates to and how you should be using it. In Snapshot Manager Pro, what did I call it? I called it updates. And the reason I called it updates and not tech support, because what is the person, like an account manager, is maybe not super familiar with high level. What are they going to do? Well, they want to know where to update the snapshot. Hey, there's something I want to improve. Where do I go to look for all the changes that have been done in the previous versions? Because in my new version, I actually don't want you to go to snapshots for that. This is actually where the version history comes in, right? But I purposefully named this snapshots because this is not where you actually go to see the latest updates. This is where you go and manage your snapshot versions. So an account manager or like a frontline tech person, they're going to go to the updates play. Those kind of naming conventions are really important. Oh, I really don't want to go through this. I mean, this was a good idea. I remember going, man, this is close to being a good thing, but what's S000, S001? Yes, IDs don't have to always be sexy, but like, it was a little weird. I was just experimenting and learning. I had something called an asset. Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Oh, so, okay. Oh, man. How do we even explain this? So this is where all my bug fixes are. These are where you report all your updates, right? And every update is going to be linked to assets. So I had this idea that when you're done with the update, you would unlink it. And so instead of just saying, hey, well, why don't we just have the history of everything that's been fixed or changed on it, just keep it there. I wanted to keep it clean, right? Good idea, good intention, bad execution. So I came up with this other thing where there's automations to archive things, and this got messy and complicated, and it kind of worked. But if you have a version of Airtable that can't use automations, well, this whole system's, you might as well just throw it all in the trash at this point. It's just like, it's absolute hot garbage. And, oh boy, here's another thing. Little tool tips. What's QA Loom? When a ticket has been updated in the snapshot, add a Loom video. Oh yeah, that's helpful. Well, how about everything else then, Mike? What do you do for all these? There's no tool tips. Why was that one? It was so important that I had a tool tip on that one field, even though the 600 other fields don't have any of it. Oh man, I don't know how much more of this I can take. This was the next version. The other one was probably like 3 or 4 years old. This one was probably 2.5, 2 to 3 years old. And you can see I've already fixed a lot. I got a lot down. The tables are smaller, so I've compressed a lot of features. I cut out a lot of the fat, but there's still some big problems here. One, all the assets are all together, so the same thing here. The other thing is you still have to do a lot of this coding system I had. You can see like I went from like 20,000 letters in the ID, and now I've got it down to like just 3. So that's kind of cool, but there's still a lot of manual stuff. Formulas are nice and simple. That's good. And that's a nice thing here. We changed it from products to snapshots. Good. And I called it project management. So it's not called sprints. You know, if you don't know what a sprint is, you know what a project manager is. And I've kind of simplified a lot of this. I'm starting to use views more. So the views are not all there, but some of them are missing. But mostly I'm starting to use a lot. Good consistency, improvement. Tickets. Oh, here's a good thing. So SOPs. Now I'm starting. So tickets are for everything, you know, improvements, product roadmap, you know, but now I'm starting to use the database. So instead of just having everything all over the place, I'm actually starting to use the database features like I should, you know, and simplifying that. The fundamental thing that's missing is I still hadn't put the 10,000 hours in. One of the things that I've learned the most about scaling with high level, it's that doing things on the small scale is easy, but it's when you're trying to scale something, and that's, I think, what everyone's trying to do. We're all trying to, we're not in high level because we're looking to just have like 5 or 10 clients. High level is built so you can get hundreds of clients. You can, like, that's the goal. But if that's the goal, systems that work on the small scale are going to hold you back when you get to the large. And you can't just wait for that to happen. Like, it's not like you can just go from one system and invest all of your energy learning. And then when you're ready to scale, we're going to take everything out and start with a brand new system. That's not right. You can't do that. So that was the big thing I learned, is that not just good to have something that works right now, you actually have to make it work all the way to the end. Otherwise, you're just wasting so much time. So what does 10,000 hours of snapshot management actually get you? So with my old tool, it worked on the small scale. When I had small projects, smaller clients, or even a new client, it would work really well for the first couple months. But when things played out over time, I realized what things have to be there. And practically speaking, the Snapshot Manager Pro, everything about it is high value. There's nothing that feels optional, and that everything you're doing feels like it's moving you forward and making your life easier. Because I use this every day myself, there's a lot of optimizations, user interface things. Those little tiny details really increase the speed, not just of using it, but also of training someone when everything is logically where you expect to see it. Now that I know there's an objective best way to do things, and there are things that clearly don't work, it means that I can automate so much more. I know what has to be present in a naming convention and what doesn't have to be there. Things are consistently named now. These things are all in the same order. The assets in these fields here line up with how the tables are. Another big difference is the training and onboarding people. So my old tool, you kind of had to be me to know how to use this. And if I didn't teach you, then there's no way you were going to figure this out on your own. Whereas with Snapshot Manager Pro, I have the training right here. I'm saying what all of these fields mean, and I'm even giving little instructions right in the tool, so you don't have to go somewhere else. You don't have to flip back and forth to try and figure things out. I hope you kind of see that no matter what project you're doing, whether it's a documentation tool, a snapshot, or whatever else you're selling, things that work on the small scale don't always work on the long term. And you need to give yourself not just effort and energy and expertise, but you need that time factor to really make sure that the things that you build will stand the test of time. If you're interested in Snapshot Manager Pro, there's some links below where you can go and buy it. If you're interested in the old tools, tough luck. I've eliminated that from the internet. There's no more of that, and you don't want to use it anyway. Best to let those things die.